how do you find any good musician? You know,
Talk to
you
studio owners, right? Like I'm sure a studio owner would know,
talk
probably be
to
likely to
studio
know. Yeah.
owners. Yeah, if talk to your fellow other musicians who have done recording projects. You know, the more people you talk to, the more people you're gonna find out about. You know, go to open mics and just talk to people. I know, like, talking to people is a weird thing nowadays, but like
Yeah,
we're
super
starting
weird.
to get back together, so let's practice that.
When you're hiring players, let's talk a little bit about like pay scale, because a lot of these
Mm.
projects, especially the smaller and more indie or more DIY the project, usually the smaller the budget. So like, what kind of general pay scale are we talking about? Like, do you always need to hire like a more expensive professional when it comes to strings? Does that put you in good stead, or are there times where you can get away with somebody who's a little bit cheaper? What do you think about like pay scale?
I mean, well, scale, pay scale, and those are kind of two different questions. It's
Yeah.
all about what you want, you know? Do you want someone who is really experienced in bluegrass because you want a bluegrass fiddle sound? Do you want someone to just add some pads, some like long tones? You know, you typically like someone who, the simpler the part, I suppose, the maybe the I don't want to say less experienced, but maybe not as like refined of a skill set they might need to have, if that makes sense. Classical players tend to be more proficient on the bow. Not
Mm.
to say that a great jazz player isn't going to also have those same skills, or that someone who is trained classically is going to be super comfortable up in a cello um, like range for that long. But I would say, however you do it, if you want that kind of sound that's like a written part, definitely have the part written.
Yeah.
You'll save so much time. Yeah.
Nice.
Unless
Okay.
you bring someone in that's a, you know, a jazz player or anyone who's comfortable with the bow, and you're like, hey, just like, let's mess around up there. And it's just like any other musician. If you're going to hire a drummer who plays a lot of instruments, or maybe they haven't played drums for that long, and you ask them to go into a session and lay down a drum track, and it's, you know, not as in the pocket as you want it, or, you know, they don't have the right equipment that you want, and so you're trying to like work around all of these kind of barriers, that's just going to take more time, and it might mean more time that you're paying your engineer, your producer, your mixer to work it in post.
Mm-hmm. So it pays off to let the better the player, generally the less time it takes fixing stuff in post.
Generally,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, talk to your person beforehand, you know, get kind of an idea of their skill set. If they're really comfortable improvising and you're not super comfortable writing a part, but you kind of know what you want, the more that you can give them beforehand, the better. If they're not super comfortable with improvising, but you want that player because you like their sound, or because maybe their rates fit your budget, you might need to do some more work on your end to prepare the session so that you know exactly what you want them to do.